Hi, a film that I saw last weekend for the first time was Woman Times Seven, 1967 comic anthology directed by Vittorio de Sica and starring Shirley MacLaine. It's the story of seven women, all played by MacLaine, living in contemporary Paris, and they have a range of different problems in life. The first story is based around a funeral procession, where the widow is being propositioned by a friend of her late husband's, played by Peter Sellers, who entreats her to join him and run away with him, and he'll do anything for her. In another, we have a couple who are both married to other people in a hotel room planning their own suicides because they can't be together. But as they actually get into um, the details of what they're planning on doing, both of them start to lose their nerve. Throughout all the stories, they are all based around the woman's relationship with men. Often it's that they are deemed to be lost objects to be seduced or to be acquired. In another, it's a more comic story of jealousy between two women. A very wealthy woman who is appalled that another fellow socialite is going to wear a new um, high couture gown to an opera event, the same gown that she was going to wear, and decides to enlist her husband's organization to plant a bomb in her car. It's always about women in conflict with their environment, with their setting in society, and their overall position. The final story is about two women who are on a day out in town who are being followed by a mysterious young man. They find it rather exciting that he seems to have such an interest. Eventually, they go their separate ways, and it's MacLaine's character who winds up being followed. But it turns out, we find out right at the end, that the man following her is actually not romantically interested in her, even though she is romantically interested in him. He's actually been ordered by her husband to follow her to ensure that she isn't meeting someone else. De Sica seems to be very interested in the female psyche, very interested in women's inner life and inner relationships. And I think in some ways the film has perhaps dated a little poorly. Um, we have one of the characters trying to emulate the carefree personality of her husband's literary character. But by the end, she's on the verge of being carted off to the lunatic asylum because this um, dichotomy between the fantasy figure and that figure transplanted into real life is more than her husband can cope with. So, in that sense, perhaps it is rather more modern. It's portraying the man as being weak because fantasy figures and reality can't connect. Um, he's incapable of coping with what he wants in a woman made reality because it's so extreme and so bizarre. And the fault is really in him for forcing his wife to act like that. The supporting performances are generally strong. We have Peter Sellers in the opening story. We have Michael Caine as the following man. We have um, Alan Arkin as the other attempted suicide, and it's another great miniature Alan Arkin performance. Um, it's an interesting film overall. Superb performances throughout by MacLaine, but I think time has perhaps not been as kind to it as it might have been. And although the idea of showing seven women in the same city at the same time in different stories and different lights to portray different aspects of the feminine experience, I'm not sure the film is as successful as it wants to be in actually pulling that off.